Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I'm back home, I'm back in the office, not for too long, only for a few weeks, and then I'm back on a cruise ship. And so one of the cruise ships is actually in my story today, as Norwegian Cruise Line is announcing a brand new game show coming to their cruise ships. We have a rather really horrific story. I'll save that till the end because if you want to turn it off at that point, that's a good time to do it. I'll warn you ahead of time because it's a pretty graphic story about the warnings again of some excursions. And we also have an update on the Kevin McGrath, the missing man from Carnival. It twists and turns abound. So Norwegian Cruise Line has just announced that they're bringing a hugely popular game show to their cruise ships. What game show am I talking about? We're talking about Wheel of Fortune. That's right. We get to see, I don't think we're going to see Vanna White up there spinning them. I don't know how they're going to do it. All I know is that if I'm playing that game on the ships, I need a spell check with me because I'm one of the worst spellers in the world you'll ever see out there. But this sounds like a lot of fun. Not only will you be able to participate as a guest up playing the actual game, but other players will be able to play against each other on the phone app of Norwegian, and it'll keep a running score of the top players who are playing Wheel of Fortune, and you'll be able to play along with everybody who's playing on the stage. That sounds really interesting. Now, the very first ship they're bringing it to, the NCL Escape, which coincidentally I'm on in just a matter of a few weeks. But I'm not holding out any hope that it's going to be ready in 3 weeks, as it was just announced, and they said most cruise ships will start getting this by the spring of next year. So something to look forward to, though. I can only keep my fingers crossed that maybe this game show will be on the ship in 3 weeks, huh? 3 weeks. Get to work. Get to work, Norwegian. Get it on the ship. Okay, next we have the Kevin McGrath story. Now, just last week, it was reported that he was last seen around 2:30 a.m. and then his key card was used on his room at 3:30 a.m. Now, his family members he was traveling with all met for breakfast at 7:30 in the morning the next day, and he was nowhere to be seen. Now, the cameras have not picked him up going overboard. There was no overboard sound of alarm, and they didn't see him getting off the ship neither. It's like he vanished into thin air. Now authorities have just come out and said that in 2022 of September, he pleaded guilty to aggravated assault, and according to reports, it was threatening to kill his wife and children. Yikes. Of which he pleaded guilty to. It could have been just one of those plea bargains where you plead and we'll drop it down, and it just saves a lot of court cases. But this was in Tennessee, and then he recently had moved to Florida and living with his parents, where he has also fallen behind on his probation fees that he had. In fact, he did not clear permission to go on this cruise, and the authorities heard about it was when he actually was reported missing. Twists and turns, like I said. My big question on that is, if somebody's on probation and has to ask permission to go someplace, and they go on a cruise or take a plane where you have to show ID, and is that not in the system? Does that not throw up some red flags once in a while? Hey, this guy's on probation. He's not supposed to be leaving the country. Does that not throw up any red flags? That's a big security thing that I have question of. As far as this gentleman, still up in the air. Nobody knows, but the authorities are less and less leaning towards him disappearing by an accident and disappearing on purpose, according to authorities recently. As last week, the Coast Guard did call off the search for him. The family is pleading, saying that he's out there somewhere. How can you call off the search, etc.? And then we have the new twist of probation, wasn't supposed to be on the ship. What's going on? I'll keep you updated if this story has another update. Until then, it's just one of those mysteries. Next, I have a rather horrific story, but it's kind of like a warning. I have to let people know because it's always better to be prepared. And this is a perfect situation of being prepared on your cruise. But before I get there, let me just quickly invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from the stories that you need to be aware of, from the tips and tricks to the new game shows coming on cruise, to the cruise we just did in the Caribbean Princess. It was one of the most amazing, fun crew and ships I've ever been on, so I'll tell you more about that in the future. But yeah, we're just trying to have fun, but I'm trying to keep you informed as best I can. And if you hit that subscribe button, it doesn't cost a thing, but it really, really does help the channel out, and I really do appreciate it. A man from Australia was with his wife on an anniversary cruise, 42-year-old man, and they were on, I believe, it was a 12-day cruise with P&O Cruise Lines. They decided to do an excursion outside of the cruise line's itinerary. They were just off the south coast of Fiji, and they went snorkeling with a private operator. Unfortunately, during this time, on day 5 of the trip, a local ran him over with his boat, and the propeller hit him square on the head while he was snorkeling. Now, the reports I'm coming out are pretty graphic, reporting that, you know, you could see parts of his, you know, insides sticking out, and they immediately rushed him back to the ship, and then immediately airlifted him to a local area, and then had to airlift him all the way back to New Zealand and Australia for even more medical treatment. And the whole time his wife is being told by the people looking after him that he probably won't make it. A high chance that he's going to pass away with these severe injuries. In fact, on the flight back towards Australia and New Zealand, his heart stopped 3 separate times. And thankfully, due to the care and the expertise of all those involved, from the people who got him back on the boat, got him back to the ship, got, you know, medical teams, etc., he's still alive today. Although he is having some issues. He has lost about 50% of his eyesight. He is having speech impediment problems. He has a great big dent in the top of his head, and he will have medical issues for quite some time. Not only that, he is having some troubles with his insurance company, who have only paid a small portion of the total fees. Again, it's just one of those things. First of all, he did have insurance. Good. That's great. And it sounds like one of the most innocent things you can do, right? Snorkeling in Fiji area. I mean, it's the calmest waters you're ever going to go. It is more private than you'll see in, say, Cozumel, or, you know, going to anywhere around here, Antigua, anyway. And so you figure those are the least likely chances of you being hit. Now, the report does not announce, was he swimming away from a group? Was he off on his own? And that's how he got hit by the boat? Because normally when you're in a big group, you have the boat nearby you, you're snorkeling around an area, and there's also spotters in the water with you. But if you swim away from that group, then that's when accidents can happen. And the stories do not report anything like that yet. But it's, you know, it's just one of those devastating things that you're on vacation and this happens, and this affects the rest of your life very, very severely. So it's always a thing about being aware of your surroundings. And I just wanted to bring that part up, because if you do go away from your tour, I don't know if that's what happened, I'm just saying, if you do go away from your tour in any direction and off on your own, you run a higher risk of something potentially happening than when you stay in your group. It's just numbers, it's just a fact. So I just wanted to bring that up. I hope this gentleman and his wife get the treatments they do. I hope they settle the money with the insurance company. A lot of times the insurance company will only say, well, we'll pay that, we'll pay, hoping not to pay more. But when if you press them and they actually get threatened to go to court, they'll say, oh, we'll reevaluate it, and that's when they pay. Many companies just try not to pay, right? It's just, that's the way it works in the world, unfortunately. So there you go, a new twist in the McGrath story, new game show coming to NCL, and a cruise warning about possibly, those excursions off on your own. And please, stay with the group if you're doing one of those, because you're less likely for something horrific like this to happen. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.